cosplay.
Well, if you're going to show me, that's fine, but you can't. The stream can't see it.
Of course not. I just want to get your opinion.
That's
I'm
going to
do that. Is
Good
it?
luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Never mind. Then I won't share it with anyone on Twitter.
You can if you want.
I think I can fit into it.
So CLG does get swapped over. They start T side. They'll start out with utility on FNS and a Deagle no armor for Ricky. So it's not like they've done the Superman buy. But he still has an angle to hold. Tries to pre-fire the flashes. Kusta gets close to the wall. A little bit of information for Def. He'll have spotted at least the position from Ricky as they want to go for a 3-2 split. Smoke down already, the one that they had to cover off Highway. And Ethan will run out quickly toward the site. Good shot from Def as always to shut them down on the USP, but smoked off. He has to back away, and they'll play the retake, as most teams do, onto the A site with Slemmy, the one with the kit that goes down at the truck. That'll be recoverable on rotation, but no one's actually toward the truck at this point in time. So it's armor and a brawl, and they'll have to detour ever so slightly just to get the kit, and they are going to do so. It's going to be Peter that does.
Yay, is in such a good spot. If he gets spotted, no, now I'm going to double peek. And yeah, that leads to his death. As CLG are going to try to fight into the site, but it's just a blender. And one that eats up Complexity members as it's Peter with the kit and it's Pistol. And again, it's going to be a double peek from CLG. They count it down and they'll swing. Peter has to try to isolate it. And I don't think he can, although he hits a nice one on finesse. And it's just Ricky alone who's hit all the way back. And Ricky's Deagle actually closes it out. I've been very argumentative against the Deagle buy and pistol rounds, but to each their own.
I mean, it depends. Look, guys like Dupree, guys like Simple, guys like Nico, you're never going to argue it. And a lot of teams will also do, as we say, the raid boss, the Superman buy, where you buy armor, someone throws you the Deagle. What that does do is limit a secondary person. So you typically, T-side, you'll see that where they carry the bomb, and their sole desire of that second person is to run the bomb in and essentially be the martyr. In this case, Ricky actually pulls it off without even losing any HP, so that's perfect, that's fine. But they'd already won the round even without the second kill based on time. So good start to CLG's campaign. A lot of aggression toward middle Ricky as well. Big spender. He's going to go straight onto an AK-47 with armor this time around.
That is Cutler, by the way. Interestingly named.
Yeah, it's Scissors Lure. Cutler. He used to do this. So again, in the minor, not playing on a specific name client, but technically in a major campaign, so should be running real names. But we know who he is.
Better than backwards. Peter will line up a flash, knowing they don't have much map control elsewhere. Get a main. Very heavy utility usage from CLG to clear out these tricky corners, not to get caught off, as Android and his Deagle has had moments of brilliance. Let's see if this will be another.
Problem is playing back corner of the site where they've already conceded checker. He really needs Slemmy to cover, but the smoke down can't see Cutler, so immediately Android has to play a more passive angle, and they'll slow it down on the CLG side, smartly so. There he is, gap for the headshot. Potential and position of Slemmy. Goes back out for more. That should be an immediate shot out from Android, who tries and does get one on FNS. That drops bomb temporarily, but they're already too far inside of the site. And yay, best of luck. I think matter of trying to do economic damage at this point in time. He could elect to save Deagle and armor. There is some justification in that, but Ku's still low enough on 20. If he can get the AK down, immediately they'll chase him and trade him, but it does bait more people in that position. And he is going to just actually post and look for the exit smartly. So Ethan makes no mistake. Just to go back to that name thing, when Device wanted to switch to Deva, the reason he was actually not allowed, and so the reason he wanted to switch to Deva is because that's what all his teammates call him anyway, Device for short, or short for Device, and the reason he could not is because he'd already done the signatures in-game, and people had bought his stickers, so technically if he changed his name, all those stickers that were sold in the client were incorrect, so Valve said no. They straight up said, nope, your name is Device, you've already set that.
Cutler has stickers in-game, right?
I think actually some of his signatures are signed that way too.
Okay.
So
he might get away with both.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Taco has a symbol he signs as well.
8 stack from CLG, as they know, Complexity will be light as a feather. They will be still very just safe with their utility usage, even when they know it's around that they should have with no problems. It's not taking any chances as CLG goes as well as expected. Not losing in any member. Damage may have been dealt to Finesse and Cutler, but the jumps aren't quite there.
No, well, I like how he was like boost me, and the other guy was not on the same page at all with that, but it doesn't matter. They closed the round 5 staying alive, so this gives them potential to go for it's not really a full bonus, but they can keep the 2 SMGs. So in some respects, they'll get little reinvestment and potentially a return for it if they get kills with the UMPs. But more importantly, PTR brings out the AWP immediately, and they saved just enough for him to do that. Unfortunately, it leaves them very light on utility. No kits, and only 3, if I can see correctly, 3 smokes, which is a bit of a problem. Again, you can get aggressive on cash, so you can play without them on the CT side. You actually can force the issue and force angles, but you still need some to slow them down toward A main.
Still be working towards door, so a very spread default from CLG. Pretty covered across the map. It's looking more like they're leaning towards the A site. The counter boost comes through for Complexity. Ricky's lucky to be alive, but it looks like Def wants to still hang around here.
Yeah, good start. Complexity gets a lead, but Kusta's already inside of the site, wrapped around from Squeaky Door, and again, no one inside of A. They've gone for a heavy mid stance, which forces retake, and the question is, with retake and FNS lurking, how far do they get? Good find, PTR. That'll open up the players on Highway and confidently take toward the site, but they've got to make a decision early. They've got a man advantage. It's encouraging to go, but without kits, if they don't find any room within the next 10 seconds, it becomes significantly harder. As Slemmy tries to peer down from Catwalk, see above to get Kusta and Ethan a lot further forward in as Cutler covers off. Side of the smoke, Slemmy pushes, Def trades back. It's going to be over the top for Android. That's the play that could change it because they're both distracted. Android with one. He can drop down immediately and they get the bomb.
No kit, and I don't think he has it.
Oh, he's got to get off.
Yeah, they got to run.
Again, they needed that kill a little bit sooner. They'll pick up an AK, so the good news is they'll force reinvestment, keep the AWP up, but even just, I think, probably 2 seconds sooner and they had that.
Look at the money CLG have already built up. We're going on round 5.
Well, keep in mind that's pre-buy in this case.
It is still pre-buy.
But yeah, it is true. I mean, that's the advantage of the bonus round specifically. In Kusta, yeah, immediately, no question.
Fair enough. They're still set for next round regardless, I think. They should be. But CLG will have a conversation to see if Complexity are going to buy here. And of course, Complexity will actually half buy around it. So very smart. They get the op and AK out, and they realize, you know what? If we lose this, max loss, and that's just a nice one from Slemmy. Don't see that one too often from him. As Android on site with the AK, having pressure coming his way, gets one from default. So far, so good for Complexity. But retaking P with no utility, it's kind of a hard task.
It's the problem with committing to a spray and in a defensive position. He commits to it, and this is just a step too wide, so immediately trade. It does well to get one down. It still gives him the advantage and retake potential, but unfortunately gives up the AK-47. Molotov's going to force them back. Yeah, he tagged significantly by it, down to 32.
I wonder if they're going to hold on to the secondary.
I think, yeah. One flash in, go for a peek, but I think you got to make a call immediately on this because double op is super powerful. The fact that you can even one in a situation when you can't afford them based on a save and based on a grab, you kind of want to stick with that. This is misleading, though, because now they think they've got an access position to the site on a trade, and FNS blinded off. Doesn't have the angle. If they can get him down fast enough, they actually have a chance at this. Pressure Ricky hard because he's got an angle. You've got to force him off of it. You've got to get to the defuse without a kit. PTR, again, they're not going to have the time, but they keep the double up, and again, will take down all 5, so some salvation in doing so.
That entire time, Slemmy was on the bomb, and he didn't have a kit, so I think he got about 8 seconds off of that and about 2 left on that defuse. But somehow that player crosses out of checkers and finds the diffuser. You're right, they will hang on to the double ops, and if Peter can start hitting some flicks like that, it may become tough times for CLG. So Def will pick up the secondary op in this case. And with that spawn, we could see an aggressive peek from Peter. Looks like the B side is where he wishes to go. May see a pre-flash from CLG. Yeah, but he just splits 2 players as he's trying to escape, and they will chase him down. Great play from CLG, realizing that they can hunt that opper down.
Full pressure, B side of the map. Skylight blown out. Molotovs to be thrown on the platform. First one will bounce back, cover off default. What, did it miss? It landed on the wall. I've actually not seen that. I didn't realize there was a texture that could catch a Molotov up there. It must be just the edge of the, I guess, girders at the bottom. Yeah, it is too. That's exactly what it is. I've not seen that before. So that's a big miss because they'll think back site's open. It gives them position to work with. Android on top of the site gets one as a result of it, but goes down. In fact, went down without the trade. I thought it was he that got the kill. It's Def instead that sits back with the AWP. 2 versus 2, and Slemmy, with bomb down, has to cover backside cross, but a smoke will allow FNS to easily pick it back up. And gives Kusta the post plant. FNS has to be aggressive immediately after the bomb goes down as a result of Kusta on 16 HP. And Slemmy's going to try and take advantage of position as a result. This could catch FNS off. Jump up. Quick shot, perhaps baited into it. Gives him away, and he's now stuck in the open. Crossfire. Kusta doesn't want to re-peek, however, because Def's staring him down, and now they get a chance to triangulate and push into FNS to the back corner. Deagle out for Def instead. Slemmy's trying to get closer. Def hit shot this time. They've got a kit. This time they finally get around. 3 straight that they've actually killed all 5, but the first they'll pick up.
Yeah, with bomb plants too with it. As this is actually, all things considered, the last few rounds, you're right, killing all 5. There goes that bank comment a couple rounds ago. It puts CLG, of course, they'll get a buy into this, but with stringing 5 rounds together and not being able to build up a big bank shows you how complex you have kept it on edge. As it is the ops to really keep complexity together for now. As it is just rifles for CLG, lacking a little bit of punch on Finesse and Kusta. Looks like complexity will just settle into their typical setups. CLG looking more like a default into this round, based on the bomb drop placement. They'll take the time. And we'll try to find a frag, perhaps.
Ethan. Boosted intentionally to watch if anyone does get aggressive inside of middle. This time Complexity playing a lot more passive as Peter has the op ready. And rotation position for Def as well. So double op setup toward mid. That's a bit peculiar. Typically you see either one on each side and one maybe off site with a rotation from mid with a single op. So in other words, you know, quad would be with the second one in mid, but never two. That's an interesting position. Especially if they get covered off with utility and forced out to highway. Exactly what Ethan wants to do now.
Late round vent boost. I like this. Is it going to catch these players off guard, though? That's the question. And now that they've pushed into A main, there's a lot of control given to Complexity, realizing they've given a mid. Great flash over. Android's good for one, and yeah, smart play. Get out of the vent. Get out of there. Cover your retreat, because they have CLG pretty much funneled exactly into where they want them. Oh, you didn't think about it.
No, didn't even. I mean, the fact that they gave it up so cleanly and no information. Def's got his back turned toward it. Shoulder peek baits out a shot. Ethan goes aggressive. Doesn't get the kill. But damage was there, and FNS closes it. Good sight take. Very, very clean based on map control from CLG. In Android, although he has 2 kills, he would need an ace, and I think that's unlikely. Smoked off. He'll have to concede. Hold the weapon. Now, the good news is Complexity. Considering they lost the 3 in a row but got so many kills and were able to carry over 2 ops, their money's not entirely trashed. It will be the next round they'll have to save. They'll only get 1,400 on a reset, but they'll be right back into it, so they're not in double eco territory as you'd often be in these situations.
I'm very surprised, based on Android's boost and kill towards that player mid, that Peter left himself so exposed and didn't even check towards highway. I think maybe the door getting open perhaps baited him into trying to focus there first, as it's an early lead. And a decent one from CLG. And look at all these the bomb plants from CLG lately. That's 4 in a row. So 6-1. Android was successful in saving. Don't think they'll go in around this. Perhaps they'll drop a pistol or something similar, but it should be cookie cutter now for CLG into this round. And that made control look very easy for CLG, considering you have the double ops. And you're right, they're both playing A site.
Well, that's typically why you would leave a rifle highway. The fact that that they already rotated off the position, Def committed to the site, and then a single smoke. Peter was trying to transition around, almost a reverse Apex position, but I find highway is much better suited to a rifle because of the transition point.
Well, they'll go back to it. Again, whenever CLG drop the bomb there, instant default will work across the map, see for any aggression, and again, CLG have realized this was big 2 automatic doors in mid, and it's free for them. And Ethan Spray will find the lone rifle that got carried over. So now that the danger and threat is gone of that, these other players don't have armor, so they won't be as big of a threat with it. Especially now with CLG having a 2-man advantage, Ethan will hold the gun. And yeah, it is just Peter will get dealt with from Ethan. So 7-1, and now here comes Complexity. Buying back into this.
Yeah, but even still, yeah, timeout call is not the. It is the right call. I was going to say not a bad idea because it's a situation where the money's not perfect. And okay, well, it's already been revealed what I thought the biggest talking point would be in trying to figure out. Wow, just while mics are open, I won't say too much, but obviously most people at home can follow along and figure out exactly what gun I mean. But they are limited significantly again on utility, again on kits. Slemmy's in fact gone to FAMAS instead. And the A yet to buy does not have much. 4150 CT side. You have to make a decision for utility. I think you need 1 kit. Look at the 2 rounds. 2 rounds that they would have won if they had a kit. There's 2 in this game we've already seen. Rounds 4 and 5, in which they could have easily had the defuse should they have had one in their hands. Pistol, you could argue maybe they would have played it differently if they had the kit up sooner, but that ultimately came to kills in the end, so you can't really give that one away.
Oh, and it looks like CLG want to switch things up. Ethan will lead the charge. 2 players in sight. Good opener for Slemmy, but look how tagged he's gotten. He's going to use his smoke. It gives time for his player default to transition to a different position. As Finesse may just flash and go. Goose actually finds A on the rotation, doesn't check his corner. As Slemmy hangs on to first oranges. And the speed from CLG has been met by the breaks of complexity.
Yeah, good bait. Android pulls them in. Slemmy's low HP has to play in the corners. Kusta, small pit, finds an angle. They didn't know the AWP would be so close. In fact, Kusta stepping out, gets some team damage in the mix, but Ricky's able to trade it back immediately, and it leaves him, although alone, with the bomb, with another smoke to cover off cross should he elect to go toward B. And Peter high ground AWP already revealing his position. Ricky can try and isolate this down to a straight fight rather than the, oh my goodness, that's getting close. In fact, I think that did do damage through both the box and the door, because Ricky, if I'm not mistaken, was 100 before that shot, but either way, he has deployed his smoke for exactly the cross we talked about, knowing that the op was not in a position to take him down or pre-fire. So bomb plant, he'll try and get information as early as he dare. If Peter does get toward a peak, he's got to make sure he isolates. They're going to go together as well. So even though the ops are close, they want to swing in. They're already by. Ricky spots one, goes out, spots them both, has down the isolation into a one-on-one. Chance to hold it off, but he, oh, I was going to say missed that shot. Fortunately, it was against Peter, who had to pull the pistol, and he's able to hold it together.
That is big for CLG, and from a hold, that started so well with Slemmy getting the first and able to just get the smoke up, force CLG to slow down and fight back into it. Perhaps an overcommitment on one of the CLG members to take an early fight against Ricky, which brought it from a 1v3 to a 1v2. And now CLG will push even more forward, making this gap more significant. As CLG just switch up the pace, they go from 2 default rounds into the 1 quick play. Complexity are just going to be gambling into this one. That's what you have to do. You can't afford to play defaults with a round like this when you have pretty much negative weaponry.
Perfectly timed flash for Def to get aggressive on the pistols. It gives them an AK free exchange, covered off though by a Molotov. They won't be able to rotate and pincer the B site, so they'll give that up essentially. The plant at the very least, because they've got it unchallenged. They're ready for the rotations accordingly. From mid, Kusta misses a shot on the op, goes back out, does manage to make up for it, but goes down, unfortunately, from the side, and specifically for Peter, from the side of Complexity, the op is babysat, so he won't be able to pick that up for free, and Def needs to make a decision now, and yeah, he's going to head for it. He wants to keep the AWP. There's no chance they win the round at this point in time, so make a logical decision.
All those dings.
That is so close. Even Peter realizes how close the Flames were. 2 ticks, I think 2.5 on the edge, maybe? I'm not sure. Depends on the spread, I suppose. And he would have gone down. Ricky's hunting. Hasn't found exactly where Def's hiding, so the AK carried over, but 9-1 CLG T side as well. Benefit, I suppose. There you go.
Yeah.
They lose one more. The op goes down, but money's still established on the CLG side, so holds them in place.
Found it funny that Peter, as soon as he goes to push right before the bomb explosion, just hunches over and dies. It's 'cause he died to the bomb as well. So now Complexity will be sitting more comfortably, but haven't found much success. CLG's default is relatively safe. Don't give much up early. They've been getting the opening picks. And again, it's the story of mid being still free for CLG. I'm waiting for Complexity to do something about that. But CLG, when they switch up the pace, they still just overwhelm Complexity, which is seems to be an issue for them. Not only in this BO3, but in general, just getting overwhelmed. As it's a flash and through the smoke, CLG will go, and Ye, big double to start this round off. Peter's going to flash for him, and Ye gets a triple. This is what they need. Ye to step up, rally the troops around him. As it's Ricky and Kusta. He will take care of the menace that is Ye. But with 3 members of Complexity all coming from truck, this shouldn't happen.
Good find from Peter. Kusta down. Ricky without the bomb plant in a 1 versus 3 and committed to the site on 24. He knows the HP is low. He does get Android down, but traded immediately by Slemmy. Slemmy went for the immediate, I have to kill you, and shot through his teammate strat. Always take that shot, by the way, even if it does mean trading out one of your teammates. Get the kill where you can, but that's a significant kill, just the one for Ricky, because he knows the money's going to be low regardless. It's a second round finally for Complexity. The money's not amazing on the CLG side either, so now's the chance for Complexity to try and salvage this entire half, essentially. If they go down 10-5, okay, workable. 9-6, phenomenal recovery in this situation, but anything beyond that, if you get to 11-4 T side, you're going to be struggling.
Go back.
Side angle, good find. The problem is he's got no support. The flash will work, though, as he gets Kusta. Unfortunately, they lost Android in the process, but he can get aggressive once more. Knows defense covered off, and what a round from Peter as he finds the third quick scope as well. Good use of utility. He needs to isolate himself in the corner because no rotations until such time that Def is on Heaven, but still can't control that FNS is pushing through. They have Vent to crossfire as well. They'll lose Peter in the end, but his job done. They have to get that kill back. Thank you, Slemmy.
Right, rocky for a moment. But yeah, great individual effort. It is just Cutler. I'm trying to cut some complexity out of this, but I don't think it's going to happen with Ye holding this tight angle. Holds cross and holds sunroom escape. So he is very isolated, very limited, and now very stuck. And Ye will finish it. So that is just great from Peter. And that flash didn't flash the main guy pushing in towards checkers, but it stopped his teammates from trading it or doing something on the back of his, Peter finding that frag. So it was big plays from Peter. And aware enough to hold Vent. There must have been a call from his teammate. And that is just phenomenal. And you're right, they do need pretty much to win this.
Was either a call? I didn't hear the sound cues.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, it is possible that he just heard the outside vent break, but I was so busy caught up watching the flash and Molotov, I didn't quite hear it myself. Our game sounds are also significantly quieter than theirs. So force for CLG into it because they want to try and keep the economy low on the complexity side, but again, this is about the last effort they've got to buy into it. This will be a second round loss bonus, or was a second round loss bonus.
That smoke could have been on purpose to allow Def to work on that gap, but the flash comes in, so it will force him off the angle. Great molly from Def, actually. Well timed, little does he know. But it looks like CLG are just going to flash and send the pistols forward.
Step is the one that's in the corner to task with watching behind the forklift. Def is forced out of position from quad. It means the ops gotta be quite quick to watch the secondary angle. In fact, Android should arguably transition that direction with the rifle, but having lost Ye, he can snip in to take over behind forklift. Powerful position, and a second man there they might not expect. Either way, it's a kill early for FNS to push the CTs back. He's the one with the bomb, mind you, and CZ75, wide swing, low HP on Ethan, nearly found both, and Peter just killed his teammate.
Right in the back, perhaps he was trying to get it shot through the smoke. You'll hear a sorry as soon as this round's done, so it's Slemmy and Peter trying to bring it back. Remember, they had such a man advantage. And a swing out of nowhere. As Ricky's just going to be posted here. Playing time, I think it may be planted for him as well. No, it's default. But the smokes makes his life so difficult.
Well, they've got two kits, and they know Cutler's in behind quad. He's the one on 100 HP. But they're able to force him out and pray for the trade. One to hold, one to guard, and they know that Ricky was inside of A main. Timid peek. He's trying to wall through with the op, but they'll just hold the defuse. That's fine. Ricky will concede because, again, they're going to be reset, so he wants to keep the one op. With the bomb plant, even if he goes down, they'll get money, but he stays alive regardless, and it's a round win. Now 3 in a row for complexity, and maybe that 9-6 isn't so unimaginable at this point in time.
Definitely within reach. Would not count them out. Especially with Peter hitting shots not only on enemies, but on teammates. I mean, a shot is a shot. As now, you can see they've learned from their mistakes. They will get these kits out. And CLG, actually, at least Ethan will commit around this one weapon. So they'll have a little bit of punch behind it. The power in this round is actually the surprise factor into it. The A side is kind of in limbo right now. Without having anyone truck, you have a player highway, right? And you have a player just jiggling towards A main on this white box. There's a chance to isolate Ye here.
Still with bombs, going to get closer onto A main. Slemmy is in at least a reasonably supportive position, and Ye's playing backside enough that he'll be able to get one shot and drop. In fact, he's going to go headshot position instead. Tough for him to hit the shot, but he'll get the information. In fact, jumps back up. Good time. But there's the dink against him. And the vulnerability does show, blinded up. But good wrap from Cutler. That had to be traded back. Slemmy was preoccupied. That opens the sight. And Ethan has highway as well. An AK-47 to guard off rotations from Z. Looks away at the wrong time. Still snaps back and takes down Android. Who misses a sitter. It's now double op set up for retake. I don't think so. It'll have to be backed off. So 10 rounds CLG. Complexity will have to play for the 5th based on economy built. But what a recovery from CLG on the way into the site.
That's crazy that they're able to. EA only gets one for that situation, which is fair because he got dinked while taking the initial fight. But Slemmy to go down to Kust in the fashion that he did. That AK from Ethan really paid off for itself, even if he just found that one player in Z, but it was enough to force Complexity into a save. To hang on to these two guns. So you never fail to impress me with these half/eco buys they go for. They always have some kind of stretcher with it. You can tell they always have a plan behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just keeping track of the economy. I mean, the fact that they forced in the AK and AWP 2 rounds ago was strictly to say, okay, look, we've already achieved 9 rounds. If we can at least cause reinvestment at the worst case scenario, plus bomb plants, which they did get, then they're going to get what was a 3rd round bonus with a bomb plant. They'll be in a position to force out the round afterward. But more importantly, with like having the 2 guns, they have a better chance at winning the round and getting the bomb down in the first place. So it's all sort of a risk-reward system that they run on their buys. Envy does it all the time, but I would say with more risk. We're Envy/G2.
Fair enough.
Former Envy.
Is that a French thing?
Very much so. Oh yeah, force buys are a very, very French tactic.
We're getting a lot of not lives in the server.
I think we have mini-map. Yeah, we got a leg out. Do we? I think
maybe.
Depth's not moving. Oh no, he
Slemmy?
is. Yeah, okay. That answers it.
Yeah.
I was looking at the mini-map, not the people inside of mid. So Slemmy legs out. We'll get a not live call, which was inside of the minute mark and before damage was dealt. So this should be no dispute.
No, I don't see it being disputed whatsoever. I don't want to talk about too much what's going on there, but hey. Gonna get into this. And it is the final round of the half, so
yeah.
This is a 10-5 would I'd consider that a recovery from Complexity,
yeah,
considering how this one started off.
Definitely, it's workable. You win a pistol, get out to 10-8, you're within range and within distance, especially starting over onto a terrorist side. It's still, again, I think team dependent, execution dependent, but it still is technically, I think, 9. I haven't looked at the stats in a while, maybe a little less now, but it was 9-6. T-sided map, believe it or not. Because originally, when it was a North American map predominantly, and the Europeans hadn't really brought it into the map pool as regularly, it was extremely CT-sided, and I think all maps are that way until such time that a meta develops. Same with Overpass, started out extremely CT-sided. Partly, in fact, keep in mind with Overpass, they had to reinvent the map twice to get a better balance toward the A site, but I think it's pretty even now, actually. They've done a good job of it.
T-sides take a bit to get that formula right.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah,
I mean, everything does. You
100%.
have to figure out timings and such. That's always going to be the case.
I think a lot of maps are. There's obviously a couple maps are still CT-sided, but I think a lot of them are getting more balanced, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I'd say CSGO in that regard is more balanced than any other iteration of Counter-Strike. There's lots of other little nuances that perhaps you could argue aren't. Pistols would be one that I would put my hand up for, but the maps themselves, with the speed and pace of the game and the current meta of the game, seem quite balanced. And I think that's something that you could tip your hat at toward Valve, because they've done a good job of that. And Dust 2 as well was dead even. Obviously they've redone it. We'll see how it plays. I think, to be honest, the changes that I've seen, there's not going to be much change in the meta.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be people literally cookie cut, re-implement what previously was. There'll be little nuances, maybe catwalk being a little wider is a little different. You could argue that long with the car changes, I think actually because you can get behind the car more easily, probably more powerful for the opposition on CT, but
certainly
we'll see how things like that change as time goes, if and when it gets put back into the pool. I think it's more of a when than an if.
Probably after Major.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually when they do it. They're already into this cycle, so it can't be before.
Of course. I'm excited for that. Maybe they won't. I don't even think they'll remove a map, to be honest, right away.
Well,
maybe they have to, but
if they want to keep it, the thing is, the way that the veto system works, 7 maps fits. You'd have to change the system a little bit.
Always go back to randomizers.
Yeah, let's not go down that path. The Cobbleizer.
It's a bumpy road. And we're into the final round of the first half, where Complexity are fighting to bring it back to a place that they can be content with. CLG, it looks like they're lining up a little bit of a play towards mid. I think this is the exact same thing they were going to go for before the crash, so no change of plans for them.
So crisscross smokes allow access toward the vent relatively easily. No one's going to be playing forward of those smokes, but should they elect to utilize those or not is up for debate. They've put them down. That'll pull the attention of Ye and Slemmy, and they're trying to bait out the fact that they'll get space inside of A and cause rotations. They bought it, but then Slemmy realizes there's no one there. There's been no noise toward the vent, and they'll rotate back. Ye's going to get aggressive as well. He might actually get behind them as a result of this. Ricky is still boosted. Oh, I don't think he spotted him.
I don't think so either. But did Ricky spot?
No,
Yeah,
I don't think that one either way. I think Ye's got the timing on this correct. Because they're slow to take the A site. Ricky's still above as well. If he drops down and goes highway now, it would be the worst case scenario because Ye wouldn't see it and wouldn't call it. Yeah, trigger discipline. Wait till he's close. So as soon as he strikes, no one will have time to turn around. Kill now, run in, and hopefully have back still turned. Good response, FNS. That's about as quick as you can get the reaction in.
Yeah, that was a great quick calm. If you hesitate for a second there, perhaps he quick thinks it and maybe thought he died from mid. Great quick communication. Slemmy's playing front smoke towards Forklift. That molly is actually going to force him out of it. So there's 3 players in sight for Complexity. It's about to get hectic as Kusta's making the jump forward.
Ooh, Kusta saw Death's head, but tunnel vision. Peter's toes up with the AWP. That creates a bit of an awkward situation because bombs being planted. They can actually push through. Smokes dissolve, and FNS is in transition, but they'll have spotted him go to quad. That gives Peter full confidence to start rapping, but pre-scoped in doing so.
Yeah, he's going to try to walk up into this. Now he's alone. They've lost track of him onto the pistol. Maybe trying to get some good time. Oh, look at this. Oh, he is going for it. Willie gets good timing. He will take care of FNS. Now he knows where the last one is. Cutler pushing up close. Peter nearly got it, but Cutler with a big 4K. Not only does he get entries, but he closes it out in a 1v1.
Good effort from Peter.
Yeah.
Immediately recognized that he wasn't detected walking around and pulled the op to get the shot and then grabbed the AK, but couldn't win out the duel. I mean, look, 11-4 in this half is okay. It's I think a bitter pill to swallow for Complexity because, again, 2 rounds in which they would have had kits, they could have control of the economy, they would have made this a much different half. You had a lot of duels that came down to last-second decisions, including this, the last round, and a lot of decisions that they made were actually correct. The problem was in crucial rounds, they gave too much map control away, and a lot of times, especially late in the half with pistols, they were able to walk into A far too easily, in my opinion. So needed to be a little more aggressive, a little more assertive, get the information earlier rather than late, and ultimately they got caught just, I guess, back against the wall by default.
Nothing surprising me into this pistol round as far as buys are concerned. No deagle on the T side for Ricky, but that's one change. As this is a interesting setup. Very heavy for CLG.
Flash in, line up. Ethan, in fact, got the first kill. But either way, it works out despite them all being blind. Good response from Complexity. And the fact that they find those kills so quickly in return, they're going to think that the B site's open and go for the rush. But who's just been sat back to bait? Peter, good read, good find. Slemmy will hold the flank. Great win from Complexity, and now they have a chance to make a game out of this.
And that's crazy, too, considering CLG had a majority of their forces towards B plus a quick flank. And that is big to just find those refrags immediately. USPs are deadly when you're able to hold a corner and use your range to your advantage. But I think that round really came down to Peter not only refragging off the initial 2 kills, but finding Kusta cleanly at oranges. If he goes down there, then that quick flank comes through because Slemmy has to rotate and help sight. Instead, Complexity will start off with at least the right foot forward. As it looks like them themselves are going to slow this one right down, at least for the moment.
Ricky close 5-7. We know the power that weapon possesses. A little bit better, perhaps, than the CZ in the situation in that if you rush down, there's multiple targets, you can get more damage inflicted over time. But CZ, I think, is quite clearly taken over that meta. Small pit, Ricky. No self-smoke. I do miss the people that ran the self-smoke in that position. There's the power it possesses because a headshot already, 2-bullet shot. He still has 18 to go. Ricky does further damage. Cutler follows it up, and Ricky steps back out. 5-7 is wreaking havoc as Def finally shuts it down, but the damage is done. And it's incomprehensible in some respects because now it's down to 28 for Def and 54 for Android, who's been relatively slow on the CT side. Gets found by Cutler. That put him in range of a 1-shot from a scout. They take advantage, and Def's got to clutch this back exactly the worst case scenario for Complexity to be in.
That bomb. Oh, I don't think they spotted him. I don't think they saw this. Now how does Def play this? Wins the fight against player in sight. And he knows Kuzu's coming from heaven. Def, 25 seconds, wants to fight with his Glock out, and he'll win it. That's huge for Complexity. Just when he thought it was over, thanks to the 5-7. Def, I mean, it's just some graceful timing there.
Must win rounds. One by one, they go into the site too slowly. No one takes checker and wide peeks Ricky, and he just gets a complete lineup on a 5-7. It's like I think that's probably one of the best angles you could play a 5-7. There and maybe Mirage pushed up by A main.
Yeah, it's so strong, right? Because they have to face you.
Yeah, and you're gonna get, like I say, you're gonna get multiple targets. It's a little more, I think, unless your accuracy is ridiculously good. I think it's better than the C7 in those. Excuse me, the C-Sed 75 in those situations. So. I mean, Ricky did exactly what he wanted to do by design, and yet they didn't get the wide peak. They didn't get control of checker. This time they'll go back over toward B again, but they leave it, the bomb that is, toward mid, so they leave the option to go toward A, and they'll evaluate that with MAC-10's Android to lead.
CLG have been favoring the B side, at least, when they know their cache isn't so great. From pissed around the previous to now.
Good find.
Yeah, that's huge. That, I think immediately Slemmy just doesn't even bother looking towards B. I'm surprised they're actually fighting this.
I was going to say that they don't need to peek this, actually. They've just cleared. Yeah, okay, so at least bomb's going back. They've cleared the site. Android did his job. He's confirmed the A's site's wide open. They'll just pincer in the rotations. Bomb will be planted, and this is a clean round. Not clean in the sense that all five stay alive, but you understand the essence.
Wonder if they're going to bother even trying to get this. I think the MAC-10's get on here.
Ooh, there's an old school Virtus Pro style run boost. Do you want to pincher us in? The problem is that Ethan doesn't know this. Ooh, okay, so he does. Rotations were coming in. Not bad. I literally have not, I don't think I've seen that run boost since 2013, maybe. At least not in a competitive game. I could be wrong on that, but I haven't seen it or can't remember it.
I'd love to see a full-blown smoke execution, then you run boost someone into the smoke.
I think that's what Virtus Pro did, was in a retake scenario that they wanted to get behind the CTs. So good find Android, builds up some cash on the MAC-10. They get all the rifles back, which they needed to do, make things more difficult for CLG. They find 7 rounds, so the 3 immediately after pistol, but by now for CLG, and a very different setup, I'm sure, than being aggressive toward the B site.
Well, Complexity settle into double Galils, the utility for sake of things. And CLG will not have the 4750 gun in their hands. So we'll see if this is going to force CLG to perhaps play more aggressive. Attention will be given to mid. They were playing B due to just the money side of things and losing pistol. But now they'll settle back into something more common, more simple. As Ricky wants to push up. Yay, full blind. Comes down to timing. We've kind of like swap situations here. Or Ricky may be the one to get good timing on Ye. But a retake B is very rare.
Ricky, I think, knows he's up there. He's made 2 steps at this point, so Ricky's hoping that he's going to go more aggressive and can catch him off. Ye keeps his back to the wall. I don't want to call who wins this because it's so situational, but I think Ye could actually get the better of this than the fact that Ricky doesn't think he's all the way over yet. Instead, he wants to watch fence as his team executes toward B. Drop down Cubby. That changes things because Ricky will hear that, turns him around. And with Ye down, that confirms mid is a possibility for retake, especially with the vents open. No smoke pops late. Cutler takes advantage of it. Slemmy follows the tracers back through, but Ricky has in fact rotated, and his win of a duel inside of middle revealed everything and easily allowed the rotation to happen.
They're banking. They're banking heavily on Ye finding a kill towards mid, if not getting the vents cleanly. As soon as Ye falls there, it allows Ricky to get in vent, and then the players start peeking all the way from tree. Yeah.
So timeout called.
Yes. So this is not live, of course.
Okay, so it is technical. I'm confused because in-game they're calling for the timeout, whereas it's supposed to be admin stop, but it's the E-League config that popped. I don't know. Anyway, I can see the chat. And they were as confused as we were, but it is a crash on the CLG side. So 12-7, this won't be a charged timeout to either side. Technically speaking, they're not supposed to have communication to each other, so should be relatively silent. Talk to the admins, fine.
Don't want to read too much into this as well because we're the only ones making noise right now. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that is nice. I didn't know we were doing that. So apparently they are killing our mics to the house during pause.
So we can just
I can
whisper
confirm.
amongst
Well,
each other.
I mean, the biggest thing with the pause is if because someone has their mic open for longer and it's a little quieter, they're not communicating. In a situation or an environment such as this, we had the same thing at the MLG qualifier. Is because we're so close by, they could just accidentally hear us through the audio, and I don't want to reveal a buy or a situational sort of.
Now that we're killed to
Whether
the house.
buy or strategic or bonus or SMG, etc. You don't want to say anything in terms of money in that regard. So that's cool.
That's
Good
nice.
job.
That's nice being killed to the house. Sorry, house. But
I'm not.
no.
No, I'm not sorry. Integrity first, and
Very true.
at this a minor, it's more about keeping things in line as it's again part of a stepping stone toward the most important event in CS each
It's gonna be probably the biggest major.
each 6 months.
Do you
I
think
guess
it's gonna be the biggest major in
no, I
CS:GO
don't.
history?
Well, I don't know about that. There's no
with
there's
all
no
the storylines?
nah. I mean, it could be. I'm not saying it won't be. I'm not saying it's not possible. But there's nothing that says like, oh, clear cut. Yes, this will be the number one. I think the MLG one had the added bonus of being the first NA one. It was also the first one with $1 million prize pool. It was the first one the Brazilians won in the end. So I think that one for me stands out above the others. E-League getting one after the TV deal being a sort of a thing. Was pretty significant as well. But I don't know. For me, it's I'm not going to say it's just another major. Every major is significant in its own right, and I think we do have an interesting storyline with FaZe being so good, and there are so many teams that can win this, and I think Gambit you still can't rule out.
The VP
but,
thing.
yeah, I mean, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I mean, no one wants them back more than I do. Those guys are so exciting to watch when they're on their game, but at the same time, there's nothing that points to say, yeah, this is the clear-cut number one major.
Make it to the grand final.
If they suddenly up the prize pool to, $3 million and gave us BL3s the whole way through or something, then I would say, yep, this is integral. But for me, I mean, look, there's no reason that it can't be the number one. But again, depends on the games and storylines as we arrive.
Look at this one from Complexity. She's an all-inner. Everything on the table. We've seen Peter had some pretty dirty shots this op, so I mean, I understand if he can afford it, you should probably just muster to buy around it. As we look at what CLG are up to, they've been playing Retake B consistently, which is very rare on a map like Cash. But I suppose that's them doing their homework. This is CLG watching demos and seeing, you know what, Complexity don't really like B that often when they get rifle rounds, perhaps. A little bit of studying, which always goes a long way.
Interesting buy for sure. More so with 1400,
It's weird.
It breaks them, but it doesn't put them into double eco, which I would have argued is more justifiable. But at this point, I suppose Complexity wants rather to keep things as close as they dare. Good find from Kusta to take down Def.
It's the AK gun. And Complexity is still so spread thin, taking fights all over the place. He should get the drop of Kusta, and he will. But the bomb is just going to get picked up now from Slemmy. And with EA having mid control, we'll see where they want to take this train. And it's looking like the final stop on the tracks is A. But Android's already made presence there towards Squeaky, so they could know this is on the way.
Slemmy's going to enter. P250 to work with, door open behind him with his teammate to watch for MBK. Bomb goes down, but good trade from Android. That'll allow the bomb to be recovered when the flames extinguish. They've got to get Ricky out of the corner. Peter will do so, but can't turn fast enough on the op. It does give it a one-on-one. Android has armor to go along with the M4 damage inflicted. Switches out to the Deagle rather than the AK. Get my words in line, but it's bomb to go down, and smart choice to plant early. It does force Cutler to get a better position to try and rotate around to try and catch off Android, but the AK picked up gives him more potency in a single shot. Patience from Cutler, however, and it's a single bullet that would take him down. A good read as he wraps back around just as Android considers the opposite approach. And Cutler will get the defuse.
Yeah, great play from Cutler. Just be so quiet about it. Made Android just sit and sweat. You almost have to commit to one of those angles, and just as he makes his mind up, as when Cutler rounds that corner. As it will be a pause from Complexity after they pretty much broke themselves into that.
Cutler played that right as well. As soon as he even if he was faking the plant, as soon as he commits to it, regardless of what he thinks, he takes that exact moment to move. He knows that he's not going to be able to peek the cross from truck, so he instantly goes out and then slows it back down again. So first off, he's taking information away from Android in doing so, and then he just plays it patiently and knows that his experience is fine in that situation and that he had a kit to work with. So well played, well read, and gets the kill to make it now 13 rounds for CLG. The 4 spy is going to hinder Complexity significantly. This will put them essentially doubled up and 14-7. Kusta will stay on the AWP.
This is a CLG pick, keep in mind, so not quite over yet. As Complexity, yeah, they realize, you know what, we can't afford to let any more rounds go by, which is, you know what, completely fair based on what we've seen so far. The one round, I find it funny, the one round CLG are not playing retake B is the round where Complexity forced by and decide to go here. As Cutler and Ricky actually double up here.
So Kusta corner to watch A main with a peek in from Ethan, who didn't spot anyone. That'll allow the third man to rotate off the site because they know there's not anyone impending at least. But it's B where in which they want to go. And Def's got good position. Pre-fires, but Slummy's already got the kill. M4 picked up, better position. Takes down Ricky in the price of 2, however, because from headshot, he sprays down and gets a double kill as Def backs off default and allows the bomb to be planted. It'll be burrowed inside of the site from which they hold off the retake.
They're going to throw a smoke towards B main. And that one that bounces off that brown lip will actually go towards Checkers. So it makes Peter feel like he almost has to make a play with the UMP. Great flash, but it blinds Android. It was a great flash if it was a CLG flash, but perhaps that wasn't properly calmed, as Android had to take up a cheeky angle due to the molly. It was an off angle. And if that flash doesn't come through, Android can fight these players. Instead, it does more harm than good.
Solid round again. CLG Complexity. I was impressed. The take that they got was actually well timed, and they coordinated it. Def did a phenomenal job of just running to the back lines of the site with the CZ, but even with the picked up guns, couldn't hold off the retake. 14-7. Good news is they aren't back on an eco this time. They've got AKs, the Galil for Slemmy. Gives them 1 smoke to work with. A single smoke for execution, so almost forced to play picks and not with an AWP to try and take over middle.
It's a smoke they can't afford to miss.
They're going to flash check A main right now as well on the CLG side, which means they'll get a lot of information that, again, no one's there. Ethan's gone in. Kusta's got the same angle, same rotation, same positions. FNS is on the way back to mid again.
That's so much given. And FNS will just stay around Z, so he can be at B at a moment's notice. As this time, Cutler's going to get a little more sneaky with it, because he's assuming if it's around a similar buy, they may run the same strat towards B. All right, assuming so. Complexity may commit as soon as EA gets in events. Now keep in mind, he doesn't have a molly to clear this out. And now they're going to go Ricky strikes. Good trade. Keep in mind, Cutler's in the money spot, and he's looking to cash out on Complexity as he gets the first and stays alive, which is so important. These players are so weak, but he can't find Android.
Good read from Android to go for the kill, but buys them a lot of time and damage. FNS is able to spray through the garage as a result and take down Slemmy. Now we'll play and help to try and hold off with smoke that's dissolved at tree. It limits the position for Android. He's got to stay on top of the site. For PTR, has to be baited in, so Android goes aggressive for information to get an angle. Back PTR goes more aggressive with a flash through. Pre-fire for Kusta, but it's not enough. 15 rounds achieved for CLG. They'll get the defuse and find themselves 1 round away from map 1, and I think this time, unfortunately, money is pretty much gone on the Complexity side. Plant with a 3rd round bonus should be able to create somewhat of a 4 spy, but it's not going to be perfect.
One big thing I've noticed from CLG is how you've pointed out in the previous round is how they're flash peeking A main, but they're also not using any utility. You see how much utility they have for that retake. They can smoke B main, they smoke off towards Checkers, they all have mollies still, and without Complexity applying pressure anywhere else on the map in the last few rifle rounds, that retake's just been so easy for them.
It's actually a good point. It's a really good point because they have had a ton to force them off of angles. And the way that they're peeking, I mean, in fact, I call it flash peek. I don't even think they used a flash that time because they're playing it for trades with Kusta's position. I wouldn't be surprised they do the exact same thing. Difference, FNS isn't there this time, but Ethan and Kusta, because they haven't been pressured at all. FNS was tagged so much, yet still wins the duel. If they found the opening pick for Complexity and gotten mid-control early, that would have been a massive win. And there you go again. So Ethan in.
Yep.
Kusta posted. He turns to watch the door. Door open. Kusta now knows he has to watch him in because there'll be further pressure once Def is there. They haven't had anyone there yet, so there's no reason to think otherwise, and therefore, it's a perfect hold.
Such a smart setup because they still have so much utility while they get pressured. No time for Kusi to get out of there, but Ethan is able to just S-key it out of there. And Slemmy will smoke towards default. Counter flashes from CLG. Again, the utility is so well used. This FNS will play on the default smoke. Slemmy needs to get that kill, and he's not successful, as it's def in a 1v4. And I just don't see this happening. It's not going to. FNS finds it. And that just seemed very clinical from CLG. I loved their A setup. They started to run it the last few rounds. It's not only safe.
No, it is.
It's just so much info, yeah.
It is safe if you don't know they're doing it.
Yeah,
and that's why they got away with it, because 3 rounds in a row they ran it, because the first 2 it was never spotted. If Complexity had taken the time to find more information as to play a default and slow it down and figure out how CLG was setting up their CT side, there's ways to counter that. The first and foremost would be to get mid control and take highway. Because Kusta can't fall back. As soon as you have the highway control, that's when you open the door, catch them in transition. Kusta's locked in. You put 1A main, and Ethan then has to either hit an incredible shot from forklift to save Kusta, or they're completely hulled off in the front side of the site. So highway control is one way to do it. The other way is to flash Kusta off the corner earlier if they knew he was there. Obviously they didn't. And then Ethan watching door a little more closely, I think. He did very well in that last round to hold off, but if you're able to time that more correctly, you could actually catch him rotating back. So there's little things you can do. I think highway and more importantly, getting a flash onto Kusta is the win on that situation.
And it's crazy too, because multiple times when they're running that setup, EA was actually able to get out from mid for free, but they're just so focused on B. So perhaps a little more depth next time we see them play Cash would be nice from Complexity.
Absolutely. Well, it's the first map, of course, to CLG. As a result, it's still a best of 3, still a chance for Complexity to respond. Of course, not an elimination match either. A little tongue twister for me. So obviously they've got a chance forward, but they'd like to get into the upper bracket. Undoubtedly, Liquid failed to do so if he didn't join us this morning against Misfits. So they await the loser in the bottom of the side of the bracket, but we'll be right back.